I'm known as the top womanizer at university. I float from one girl to another like a bee through flowers, never getting caught by a single petal, but the only one I ever truly took seriously was Willow. We'd spent a long time talking, building something real, or so I thought, but then one night, she got drunk and emotional, and whispered another man's name. Through her sobs, she said, "I've had enough fun. I want to find an honest man and marry him." At that moment, I felt like I swallowed a mouthful of old blood. It lodged in my throat, just stuck there. Damn it. So you've had your fun, and now you're done? What about me? I'm not done yet. Later, at one of my lowest points, I happened to bump into my first love. She just returned to the country. I don't know what came over me. I suddenly got serious, looked her in the eye, and said, "Wife, I've always been thinking about you." But Anna just smiled softly and said, "So when are you going to take me off your blacklist?" She paused and added, "As for your previous wrongdoings, we'll talk about it later and later." Day after day, my legs started trembling like sifted wheat. It felt like I couldn't hold myself up anymore. Then Willow came back into the picture. Her eyes were red as she begged me to forgive her, but Anna just raised her eyebrows, glanced at her belly, and mocked, "I'm already showing, and you're still not letting go?" I came from a small town with nothing but decent looks and made it to the capital's university. That was my only advantage, but it was enough to blend into the crowd and still stand out. Whether they were rich girls or the dazzling queens of the school, I could easily win their hearts. I played the role of the ambiguous friend. I'd win them over, then act like I had no idea they liked me. It worked. It earned me the title of top womanizer at university, but even then, they still adored me, treated me gently, like I was someone broken, someone they could save. They thought I just needed the right person to help me settle down. And when the mood was right, I'd get a little misty-eyed and share the story of my first love, how I loved her so much, but she fell ill and died too young. My eternal regret. Maybe because of that story, I became insecure. I couldn't form a stable relationship with anyone, and in those moments, I'd look them straight in the eye with a deep, sincere gaze, as if I was silently telling them, "You're different." That look always worked. Their eyes would light up with sympathy, with a need to rescue me, but the truth, I knew they were just temporarily feeling like saviors. Behind the scenes, they were still sharing dog training tips, online backup strategies, and advice on how to manage ATM boyfriends, proving their so-called independence. I didn't mind though. Honestly, I liked it. It let me flirt freely, guilt-free, and those careful backups just made things smoother. But Willow, she was different. With her, I was serious. For a long time, she was gentle, thoughtful, patient, not extreme about feminism. She once spent months hand-knitting me a scarf. She'd walk down every street with me just to find food that tasted like home. And after she got with me, she kept her distance from other guys. She was, without a doubt, my ideal type. Just as I was ready to make things official, I overheard her murmuring someone else's name while drunk. She said, "Makoto, I'm done playing. When are you going to marry me?" She leaned on the bar, chin resting on her hand, swaying a little. Then she muttered, "What am I thinking? I've been with a womanizer like this for so long, and you don't care at all. How could you still wait for me?" The bartender and I were both standing nearby. We heard everything. The bartender looked moved. He said thoughtfully, "She even set your contact info as her screensaver. She really loves you." But I turned pale. My hair may as well have turned green. My nose burned red. I felt like a damn clown. I scratched my head and muttered, "Well, I'm not Makoto. I'm just the womanizer she's been with all this time." The bartender didn't know what to say. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I swallowed the sorrow, paid the bill, and asked him to book her a private room, and then I left, with nothing but the memory of her thin, frail silhouette. When I got home, my face was like a thundercloud. I stormed into the bathroom and splashed my face with cold water again and again, trying to calm down, but I couldn't. That mouthful of old blood was still stuck in my throat. I kept thinking so many people had called me a jerk, told her not to be with me, but she ignored them. She still accepted my confession. Why? Turns out, I was just a tool. A loser she used to piss off her ex. Damn it. Using a womanizer as a tool? How the hell is that right? In my head, I kept screaming, "F your mother." over and over until I could finally settle my emotions. Then there was a knock at the bathroom door. I opened it and saw David. He looked like he'd just woken up, rubbing his eyes. "Bro, you okay?" he asked. "Did someone insult you again? Give me their account, I'll go after them." That actually warmed my heart. In the womanizing world, you get cursed out all the time. White knights, simps, stalkers, they all come after you on social media. I didn't mind. I could brush it off. But David, he couldn't stand it. He'd stay up late arguing with those people, defending me. There were guys in the dorm who hated me too. When he found out, he was the one who said we should move out. So we rented a place nearby. David started his own business while still in school. He worked like crazy to earn money. His first car? He bought it as a gift for me. He knew I was a flirt, and he'd even help me meet women. Would introduce me to pretty girls himself. When we were kids, I was like a parent to him. Took care of him. Now that we're grown, he's the one taking care of me. I patted his back. "It's nothing," I said. "I'm just thinking of switching things up." David gave me a knowing look. "You used to change girlfriends every 2 months, Max. But this Willow, she's been around for almost a year. I thought she was gonna be my sister-in-law." I gave a guilty smile. How could that be? Do I look like that kind of person? If he found out I screwed up this time, what would happen to my reputation in his eyes? No way. I had to keep this between us. Thinking about Willow again, I smirked to myself. If I really played with some innocent girl's heart and she got revenge on me, that'd be fair. I deserve it. But Willow, that bitch, no, she doesn't deserve that satisfaction. I curled my lips and looked at David. "Help me with something tomorrow." The next day, I went back to the dorm to get the rest of my things. As I reached the door, I heard laughter from one of my roommates, Martin, the jealous cucumber. He was laughing hard. "Ha ha ha, even the womanizer got played. This is so satisfying. Always acting like he's the center of the world," he snorted, thinking all women fall for his act. "Now he's facing reality, huh?" Another roommate added, "Martin, your goddess took your money and went to a hotel with another guy. If it weren't for George, you'd still be in the dark. Isn't that a bit much?" That guy had always defended me. He couldn't stand the other's jealousy. I pushed the door open and smiled. "To jealous cucumbers, even my breathing is a crime," Martin scowled. "So what? Am I wrong? You mess around with so many women, and you're actually proud of it?" I raised my eyebrows slightly, smiled, and said, "Of course I'm proud. I don't spend a dime. Women still line up for me, pay for me. I can barely keep up with all the dates." Then I looked straight at him. "Now look at you." I smirked. "You eat instant noodles, spend your entire allowance on girls, and then they run off with some other guy to a hotel. And you still think you're winning?" Some of the others tried to stifle their laughter. Martin's face twitched with rage, but he couldn't say anything. "You love calling me a womanizer," I said, "but do you know how much work it takes to be top tier? I get up at 5 every morning, work out for 2 hours, focus on abs and core. I eat a balanced diet and never touch fried food. To keep up my energy and mental sharpness, I go to bed at exactly p.m. every night. Every morning, the first thing I do when I wake up is weigh myself and check my body fat percentage. I've kept this routine going for 5 straight years, but that's just the basics, the external conditions. To be a better playboy, I majored in psychology and taught myself philosophy. Psychology helps me see through people, get to their core, and guide situations the way I want. Philosophy, on the other hand, is what strengthens and sharpens my mind, keeping me calm no matter what I'm dealing with. I run background checks on every woman I take an interest in. If she's into oil painting, I'll learn all about the history of oil painting and the greats like Da Vinci, Giorgione, and Monet. If she's into extreme sports, I'll go try bungee jumping, paragliding, or even skydiving. And if she's into feminist independence, then the second sex becomes my Bible, and I'll master circular reasoning just to make her feel heard and appreciated. I need to do more than just keep up with the conversation. I need to provide emotional value too. But when it comes to flirting, balance is everything. If you flatter someone too much, they'll start thinking they're worth way more than they are. The key to understanding human nature lies in mastering emotional fluctuations. Sometimes you move them to tears, sometimes you make them feel pain. Sometimes they're high on excitement, and other times they're anxious and unsure. That kind of emotional roller coaster creates strong memory anchors, pulling them deeper into the relationship, and according to sunk cost theory, the more someone invests in something, the harder it is to walk away. That's why I never rush things. I take my time, slowly making sure they can't live without me. On top of all that, I work hard to keep up the image of strength and capability. That's why I've ranked first in psychology for 4 straight years, served as president of both the debate and broadcasting clubs for 2 years, and even received an offer to study at a top university in the UK. All that smooth sailing, built on countless days and nights of hard work. I looked at Martin, who was standing there dumbfounded. I gave a small smile and said, "If you could do what I do, you wouldn't be here complaining." I grabbed my suitcase and left in style. As I walked away, I heard one of my roommates whisper, "I'm not jealous of his success at all." Once I was downstairs, I immediately put on a look of despair. People passing by glanced over some on purpose, others without meaning to. I picked up my phone. It was packed with missed calls and messages. My backup girls were all checking on me, worried about my mental state, because last night, one of my secondary accounts had been exposed by someone with bad intentions and posted on the campus wall. It told the story of a deeply emotional guy me who, after suffering psychological trauma, reached toward the light only to find it was fake. That sent him spiraling into an even deeper abyss. People who read it were heartbroken. Some even cried. The post laid out all the bittersweet details of my ambiguous relationship with Willow. It was told in an overly dramatic style, but that's my specialty. I've always been good with words. Charming lines come naturally to me. Even the bartender from that night stepped up to confirm what had happened. Before I knew it, I became the subject of everyone's sympathy. I mean, what's more heart-wrenching than a playboy who finally changes his ways only to be cruelly betrayed? After all, saving a jerk is way more satisfying than dating a nice guy. It makes a woman feel important, like she's the one who made the difference. Another call came in. I picked up and answered in a raspy voice. It was a younger female student. She said, "Senior, are you okay? Willow's such a bitch. Don't let her get to you." I croaked out, "I'm fine. I just want to be alone for a while." She said, "She's not worth your sadness. Maybe you should try giving someone else a chance." I gave a weak smile. "Thanks." Of course, I wasn't really sad. That secondary account? I posted it myself. I've got more than 10 similar ones, each one documenting different flirtations. I always knew they'd come in handy someday. Chapter 5. When I got home, David excitedly filled me in on what had just happened. He said, "Bro, when I was taking your stuff downstairs to toss out, I ran into Willow in the hallway." He went on, "When she saw the ring and the burned scarf, she nearly lost it." I raised an eyebrow and smiled faintly. "Last night, I'd bought a cheap ring and burned the scarf Willow made for me. I threw them in an old showbox. After she messaged me saying she was downstairs, I told David to take the box out and toss it. He understood what I was going for. When he saw her, he sighed heavily and said, as soon as my brother got back, he locked himself in his room and drank in silence. I've never seen him like this before." He glanced at the box and added, "My brother used to treasure this scarf so much he wouldn't even let me touch it. And the ring, he spent all his savings on it. Said he was going to propose. He's already in so much pain. I'm really worried he might do something drastic. Who the hell hurt him this badly?" Hearing that, Willow's eyes instantly turned red. She held the box carefully in her arms. Tears streamed down her face as she choked out, "It's all my fault. I'm so sorry, George." Then she transferred 50,000 yuan to David and asked him to give it to me, but begged him not to tell me it came from her. David couldn't say no, so he reluctantly accepted it. Then he delivered the final blow. "My brother said meeting you was like finding redemption. He thought you were different, but in the end, he lost, and he lost hard." That was the moment Willow's psychological defenses completely broke. I gave David a thumbs up. Without him, I honestly wouldn't make it this far. Then he suddenly gave me a shy smile. "Bro," he said, "I need to talk to you about something. You're going to study abroad in the UK, right? So, why don't you become one of those unattainable types, and I'll act as your stand-in?" My brain completely froze. Took me a full minute to reboot. "You out of your mind?" I asked. He just grinned. "Just think of it as a little kink of mine. This way, you can avoid the messy follow-ups, and I can make a bit of money, as For the profits, how about a 70-30 split? My frown eased right away. The money wasn't the issue. My brother had always been thoughtful and well-behaved. So what if he had a small kink? He's my brother, he deserves the best. So I set my sights on a rich young lady from the upper-class circle, Alicia, a wealthy girl who had never been in a relationship, practically a perfect target. And then I walked right into the biggest failure of my life. I met her at an art exhibition and confidently approached her. I said, "Does Sue like oil painting too?" To my surprise, she shot me a cold look and replied, "I like comics, damn it." Still, I followed her to an empty classroom, planning to act like it was a coincidence and get closer, but she stood up instantly, not even glancing at me, and muttered, "I think I'm being haunted by a ghost. Maybe I should get a priest." I was speechless. After several awkward attempts, I finally made it into the Zhu family's private lounge, but before I could say anything, I bumped into a server. A ceramic wine cup shattered on the floor. Alicia Zhu calmly rested her chin in her hand, looked at me, and said, 10 million. Pay up. I closed my eyes. I was about to explode. She was straight up scamming me and still acting like she was doing me a favor. Just as I was about to go off on her, she cheerfully said, "How about this? Introduce me to your brother, and we'll call the whole thing off. Sound good?" I stood there, stunned. "You like him?" Alicia blinked and said, "Yeah." I couldn't help but sigh. Was there really such a perfect match in the world? "All right," I said. I agreed to this arrangement, but then something crossed my mind, and my expression turned serious. "However," I added, "you should prepare yourself. My brother is into cosplay." Alicia was speechless. As I stepped out the door, I let out a long breath. The closer I got to Alicia Zhu, the more I felt a strange discomfort inside. It wasn't embarrassment, it was something else. Whenever she acted all sarcastic, I'd catch a flicker of someone from my past. Someone with the same surname. Could it be? Lost in thought, I lowered my head and walked straight into someone. A sweet citrus scent washed over me, and I froze. Before I could even react, a sharp sting rose in my eyes. I looked up with red-rimmed eyes, and there she was. That familiar face from my youth, etched so deeply in my memory. The delicate and youthful girl I once knew was gone. The woman before me had shed all traces of innocence. Beneath her refined brows and delicate features, she now carried a cool and aloof air, sharper, more distant than before. Her red lips parted, and those peach blossom eyes, once soft and gentle, now shimmered with mockery. She looked at me and asked, "Sir, do I look like your first love who died of illness?" I stared at her, stunned. Trying to gather myself, I forced a breath and, with pain in my voice, said, "Anna." "It hurts." My chin quivered slightly, and I nearly choked on the words. Anna's smile faded gradually. Her eyes tightened, and she spoke with impatience. "Don't tell me you're mourning for another woman." I stayed silent. Right then, my phone rang. It was Willow. Anna didn't even hesitate. She picked up my phone and answered. Willow's voice came through, sounding tired but sincere. "Georgie bro, I know I was wrong, but at least let me see you. Can we do that?" I looked at Anna. Her peach blossom eyes locked onto mine, her lips pressed into a straight line. Her gentle, calm appearance was just a mask. At any moment, it felt like it could break open, exposing the obsession and chaos beneath. Then, all at once, she smiled seductively and let the phone slip from her fingers, dropping it to the floor. From the phone, Willow's voice still echoed. "Where are you, Georgie bro? Are you there? Say something." The room was silent, deathly silent. Anna leaned in close, pressing her body against mine. Her soft arm wrapped around my neck, her breath sweet and warm near my skin. She rose up on tiptoes like a wild little cat, feral, full of desperate longing, like she couldn't stand being apart from me. Her kiss brushed against mine, soft and intimate. The quiet sound of it echoed, sending sharp tremors through every nerve. The room was dim and still, our mingled breathing the only sound. Willow must have sensed something. Her voice suddenly turned cold. "George, who are you with?" Anna slowly pulled away. Her finger pressed against her lip, the one she'd bitten until it bled. In the soft light, her eyes looked deep and dark, like a bottomless, icy pool. Her voice came in a whisper, breathy, seductive, and haunting. "Just take me off your blacklist first," she said. "As for your past mistakes, we'll talk about them later, okay?" That snapped me out of it. I looked at her, smiled faintly, and with a voice full of bittersweet longing, I whispered, "Go to hell." Anna was speechless. I picked up my phone, ended the call, and walked away without looking back. When I reached the bottom of the apartment building, I saw Willow crouched in the corner by the staircase. Her small figure was tucked into the shadows, tissues scattered around her like soft confessions. She looked so fragile, so wronged. When she heard me approaching, she stood, her eyes red and glistening with tears. We looked at each other for a few seconds. Then she lowered her head and wiped her eyes. Her hand clenched the tissues tightly, like she was forcing herself to stay composed. She murmured, "I'll clean this up when I leave." I turned away, no longer in the mood to play this game. I was just tired, but behind me, her voice trembled. Quietly, "George, who was the woman you were with just now?" I stopped and turned back. "Who are you to question me?" I asked coldly. "Come on, it's been nearly a year. You still haven't gotten that Makoto guy to come back?" I had done my homework. I knew all about Makoto. He and Willow had grown up together. He'd loved her deeply. But before university, Willow was chasing wealth and looks. She never even glanced at poor Makoto. Worse, she distanced herself from him, pushed by her shallow friends. That crushed him. Makoto changed his university plans and cut ties. When Willow realized what she'd done, it was too late. She went to his campus, hoping to win him back, only to find him smiling with another girl. She convinced herself it was just to make her regret it. That's when I entered the picture. She wove a beautiful web of affection just to make Makoto jealous. She dragged me into it too. Her little performance became too real, and eventually, it trapped her. In the end, she had nothing. Now she lowered her gaze, her lashes trembling. Her voice was hoarse. "I know Makoto won't come back. It's just been my obsession. He told me the past can't be changed, that I should focus on the present." Her eyes met mine again, full of pain. "That night I got drunk. I realized Makoto's shadow was fading. But your smile, it was getting clearer. I think I've really let go," she continued. "This past year, I've seen so many sides of you, things no one else knows. My emotions, everything, has been stirred by you again and again. I can't even tell if I was pretending anymore or if I just got used to being with you." She took a slow step toward me, her eyes pleading. "I'm sorry, George. I really am. I'm willing to do anything to make it right. Just give me one more chance. Please, I'm begging you." She tried to fall into my arms. I shoved her away, arms crossed. I looked down at her, my smile mocking and sharp. "Don't overdo the pity act. You look really ugly when you cry." Maybe it was the first time she saw this side of me, cruel and cold. She froze in place, her pupils shaking. "You love Makoto?" I sneered. "I doubt it. You just got used to him chasing you. You took his love for granted. When he left, you couldn't accept it. You're doing the same thing with me. You wasted a year and ended up with nothing. Now you're playing the poor girl to make yourself feel better." She shook her head desperately, tears falling. I'm sincere with you." "Really?" I asked. "If Makoto came back, what would you do?" Her lips parted, but she didn't answer. She looked away. I laughed bitterly. "I know exactly what kind of woman you are. You'd run back to him. Then, one night when you're mad at him, you'd remember me, feel guilty but still indulge yourself. And when it all blows up, you'll pin it on me. The villain. Admit it, Willow. You're just a woman who can't change. Forever stuck in your regrets. Dissatisfied with everything. The warmth and gentleness I once showed her gone. I ripped the mask off without mercy. Willow's face turned white. She fled, almost running, her heels clattering as she disappeared. It was like I'd become a monster. Even her retreating back looked like it might collapse at any second. When I got home, David was already out at class. Only then did my body finally relax. For some reason I didn't understand, I logged into an old secondary social media account. I scrolled through a few familiar names, then I saw him. Still active. His latest post was a silhouette of him kissing a woman on the beach at sunset. The caption read, "Childhood sweethearts finally together." Bang! I threw my phone. The screen shattered. In that moment, it felt like my heart had been crushed, like I couldn't even breathe. The vague hope that had risen in my heart shattered instantly. All that was left behind was unbearable anger and helplessness. Childhood sweethearts, again with the childhood sweethearts. Anna was like that. Willow was like that. Is this really my fate? That I, George, can never have a childhood sweetheart? In the first year of high school, a transfer student named Anna joined our class. She was reserved, but the noble aura surrounding her was undeniable. Beneath her gentle, quiet exterior was a subtle distance, an invisible barrier that kept everyone at bay. In the first few days, during breaks, many boys would pretend to go to the restroom or wander the hallways just to sneak a glance at her. The girls were just as alert, always worried she might steal the boys they secretly liked. As for me, from the moment I laid eyes on her, I knew I had to win her over. Most students in our small town were shy, introverted. They didn't dare to confess their feelings. But I wasn't like them. I'd take the initiative to talk to her, ask her questions, even the ones I already knew the answers to, just to start a conversation. And every time she answered, I'd thank her with small gifts. Sometimes a bottle of milk, sometimes a bag of snacks. Even once, a wooden sculpture I carved with my own hands. I knew girls from big cities had seen expensive gifts before, but a handmade one, that would feel different. Special. When the monthly exam results were posted, Anna stood by the bulletin board for a long time. The rankings were listed clearly. First place, George. Second place, Anna. Her eyes trembled ever so slightly. Then, she shot me a cold glare. "Are you messing with me?" she asked. I pretended to be innocent. "It's all thanks to your teaching," I said. "It's your achievement." Her expression turned complicated. After a long pause, she finally parted her lips. "Don't ask me about questions again," she said. "And don't give me any more gifts." The message was clear. Stop bothering me. My smile faltered. I looked down and quietly said, "All right, got it." Then I turned and walked away. For the next month, I didn't approach her. Not even once. I didn't even make eye contact. In our small classroom, it felt like a whole galaxy stretched between us. Many people noticed something had changed. They thought maybe we had broken up, and they saw a new opportunity. Girls started coming to me, asking for help with study problems. Boys began lingering near Anna, but I treated every classmate kindly, patiently smiling and helping them one by one. Meanwhile, the faint curve of Anna's lips seemed to disappear more with each passing day. So much so that during class, I could often feel a cold, piercing gaze on my back, but it didn't shake me. I stuck to my promise. I never looked her way. I carried out her words like strangers to the extreme, until one day, after school, a few thugs cornered me in an alley. The leader spoke in a tone dripping with drama. "You dare to covet my woman?" I stayed calm. "You've got the wrong guy," I said. "I don't even know who your woman is," but he exploded, shouting, "Stop acting, or I'll make you regret it. You hear me?" I stepped back cautiously. "If you lay a hand on me," I said, "I won't let it slide." He laughed, mocking me with disdain on his face. "Who do you think you are? An orphan with no parents, treated like an animal by your uncle's family. No home. What do you have to fight me with?" He signaled to his buddies to surround me. A tightness grew in my chest, and I hurriedly explained, "Why would I mess with your woman? I have a girlfriend. My girlfriend is Anna, who doesn't know Anna Zoo, the Zoo family's daughter. Would I really be crazy enough to cheat on her? Do I have a death wish?" The thug sneered like he'd heard the funniest joke in the world. "You're good at making things up. Everyone knows Anna doesn't even talk to you, and now you're acting like you're special." Just then, a familiar voice echoed from the alley entrance. "Why are you bullying my boyfriend?" Anna stood there, her brows slightly furrowed and her eyes filled with unmistakable concern. Beside her stood a bodyguard, his presence cold and intimidating, like a wall blocking the thug's path. The pressure was intense. The thugs went pale. They laughed nervously, muttered apologies, and quickly ran off. I scratched my head, my voice surprisingly soft and apologetic. "I was just talking nonsense. I won't do it again." Then I hurried past her and left. The next day, I was back to my usual self, chatting and laughing as if nothing had happened. But soon, a rumor began to spread. People were saying Anna and I were secretly dating, and oddly enough, Anna seemed to lean into that rumor, following me everywhere. Eventually, we even got called in by a teacher to explain ourselves. After we left the office, I awkwardly said, "Thanks for that day, but it's better if we keep some distance now." Her lips pressed together tightly. In her peach blossom eyes, I saw disappointment. After that, she really did keep her distance, just like I'd asked, until one day, while I was on duty, I took out the trash with a classmate. I smiled and handed her a wooden tiger sculpture I had made. She looked surprised and was about to take it when suddenly a slender arm reached between us. A faint fragrance lingered, and a soft, pale hand took the sculpture. Anna turned to the girl and smiled sweetly. "Classmate," she said, "can I buy this from you?" "Name your price." The girl glanced at me, then quickly lowered her head and walked away. I was losing patience. "Anna, what are you doing? Are you trying to ruin things for me on purpose? Are you out of your mind?" She pouted, her voice carrying a trace of grievance. "Just consider me crazy." She paused, then said, "George, I've changed my mind. From now on, you can only come to me for questions, and only bring gifts to me." That day, the sunset stretched our shadows together on the ground as if we were slowly merging into one. I knew the time had come. The next day, I purposely let her see the frightening scars on my arm. Anna's eyes turned red. After school, she insisted on taking me to her house to apply medicine and bandage the wounds. That night, the moon was full and bright, casting enough light to see even the fine hairs on her cheeks. Laughter and shouting rang from the yard, and she nervously curled up in my arms. It was our first embrace. Later, my uncle and aunt were arrested for their crimes. Finally, life returned to a peaceful calm, and with that my plan was perfectly executed. The more she cared for me, the more my original intentions felt despicable. At an age where true feelings should be cherished, even a hedgehog softens when shown kindness. I confessed to her, told her everything had been manipulation from the start. I was prepared for her to get angry, prepared for her to walk away, but Anna just shook her finger. "I already know," she said, then added, "but I'm still willing." "Want to know why?" Her eyes blinked gently, like the ripples in spring water stirring something deep inside me. I cleared my throat. "We can't be in a relationship too early," I said. She snorted. "So what?" "So, after the college entrance exams, we'll make the rumor official," Anna hummed softly. Her voice was gentle and filled with a quiet joy, but to my surprise, not long after, the news came she and her childhood sweetheart were going abroad together. No one knew this, but I had met him once. He was the son of a wealthy family. His every move exuded confidence and entitlement. I still can't forget the look he gave me, like he was staring at a maggot in a gutter, barely able to look for even a second. He greeted me politely. "I'm Kevin. I've known Anna since we were little. You should know someone like you. We'll never be with her. We're going abroad, and we hope you'll stay away from her." The message was clear. I didn't deserve Anna. They were the ones meant to be together. Honestly, I envied him. He was born at the top, raised with the love and indulgence of his family. He could have anything just by reaching out his hand. He didn't need to care about anyone else's opinions or their pain. Even when he acted recklessly, there was always someone to clean up his mess. That's why he could talk to me with that arrogant tone. But I wasn't like that. After our parents passed away, my brother and I became orphans, living off the kindness of others. I had to behave, be sensible. I had to read the room. As the eldest, I had to protect my little brother. I was the one who had to carry the weight of this broken family. Even now, even though I wanted to punch Kevin in the face, I knew I couldn't afford the consequences. So, I took a deep breath, forced a smile, and asked, "Are you so sure Anna will go abroad with you?" Kevin raised an eyebrow, the disdain in his eyes unmistakable. "Wanna make a bet?" he replied. I didn't answer. He turned and walked away. Even without his words, I understood. It was clear from the expression on his face he was already certain he'd won. I had lost completely. Maybe it was shame and anger, or maybe just self-deception. To hold on to the last shred of my pathetic dignity, I threw away everything that held memories of us into a metal bin: the unfinished wooden sculpture, the bracelets we bought together, the little handmade figurines, the pen she once borrowed, the notebook she wrote in, even the red string tied around the old temple tree with our names on it. I pulled it down and burned it all to ashes. I truly severed all ties. The flames danced, flickering in my eyes. They lit up something else too, the burning rage in my heart. Money? I'll have it in the future. Fame and fortune? I'll get those too. Women? I'll have plenty. I'll rise to the top, and when I do, I'll give them all the middle finger and say, "What are you even worth?" As those thoughts settled, I found myself calming down. Looking back, I couldn't help but laugh at how childish I had been. All that anger, all that obsession, it was all because of Anna. But my life is my own. What does it have to do with her? No one really cares how I live, and now that we're strangers again, why should I care about them? Still, I understood. Heaven gave me a smart brain and good looks, of course. I'd face some heartbreak along the way. Once I accepted that, my heart felt calm, like still water. Anna, Willow, they could both just stay the hell away from me. I glanced at the phone lying on the ground, then picked up my tablet and sent David a message. Bring me a new phone when you get back. Out with the old, in with the new. Before long, it was time to leave for my trip abroad. At the airport, I had a brief chat with David about Alicia. Seeing the eagerness on his face brought out a dark amusement in me. How long could this CEO pretending to be a substitute act last? But what I didn't expect, what caught me completely off guard, was running into Anna right after David left. Still, after a quick pep talk to myself, I felt totally calm when I saw her. I could even smile, joke a little. Are you here to send me off? She was wearing a polo dress, looking relaxed and casual. Squinting at me, she asked, why is it that as soon as I come back, you're leaving? Are you avoiding me? I kept my smile. Maybe it's just that we don't have much fate together. I glanced at my watch and gave her a slight nod. I'm about to board. Let's talk next time we meet. Anna pressed her lips together and didn't say anything. She just stood there, watching me walk away. On the plane, I looked out the window and let out a slow breath. All the anger and frustration from before, it was time to let it go. Time to start my next chapter. But then, just 3 minutes later, a voice broke the quiet. Excuse me, sir. I'm in first class. Would you mind switching seats with me? The middle-aged man next to me happily agreed. A familiar, faint fragrance drifted toward me. I turned and looked. I was speechless. Are you serious, Samara? Can't you just leave me alone? Anna's light-colored eyes sparkled. They looked especially bright. She smiled slightly. Yeah, I just can't die in peace. I was speechless. On the plane, she started explaining why she had left without saying goodbye and that nothing had ever happened between her and Kevin. I didn't want to hear any of it. I cut her off. Don't disturb the others while they're trying to rest. Then, a head popped up from the seat in front of us. Hey, let her talk. We want to hear too. Someone from behind chimed in. Yeah, don't worry. We won't be disturbed. I calmly closed my eyes, pulled the blanket over me, and said, it's disturbing me. Anna paused, then let out a soft laugh. Then go ahead and sleep. Anyway, there's plenty of time ahead. The moment we got off the plane, I grabbed my suitcase and headed out. But Anna grabbed my sleeve, looking up at me. Wait a minute. We can go together. Just then, I heard an excited male voice. George, I'm over here. It was Chris, my soon-to-be roommate, a mixed-race guy with an energetic vibe. Next to him stood a pretty girl with delicate features and a shy smile. She waved and said in halting Mandarin, hello, brother. I'm Chris's sister, Tina. I couldn't help but smile. A cute, mixed-race beauty life in the UK was looking promising. The three of us walked off together, chatting and laughing. As for Anna, she was already completely forgotten. Chris leaned in and asked, George, who's the pretty girl behind us? Why does she look so upset? Without even looking back, I replied, oh, maybe she's constipated. I had been in the UK for a while now, starting to settle into life here, but honestly, I was so busy I didn't even have time to fish around. And the women here? Cold, indifferent, totally ignored all my attempts at flirting. Was that normal? I kept telling myself different culture, different tastes. No point forcing things. Meanwhile, Anna kept hovering around me whenever she had nothing better to do. It was starting to get on my nerves. One day after class, dragging my tired self to the school entrance, I ran into someone I hadn't expected. Kevin. He looked pretty different. His hair was neatly styled, and he wore a sharp suit. But more than that, his demeanor had changed. He seemed more mature. He frowned and stared at me for a long time. His face was tense. I raised an eyebrow. Here to warn me again? He sighed. Forget it. I think you and Anna are a good match. I wish you both the best. His expression was complicated. He looked like he had more to say, but Anna interrupted. Who do you think I'm a good match with? She was in a black dress, elegant and cool. She stepped up beside me, standing so close it felt like the distance between us over the years had never existed. My temper flared. I sneered. What, are you two just bored and decided to mess with me for fun? A flash of guilt and pain appeared in Anna's eyes. Her voice was hoarse. George, I'm sorry. Kevin took a deep breath and looked at me. The misunderstanding and separation between you two, it was all because of me. I owe both of you an apology." He paused. "Let's go to a cafe. I'll explain everything." Anna pursed her lips, not looking too happy. Kevin forced a small smile. "I just want to make up for my mistake." He looked at me, clearly waiting for an answer. The guy who once looked down on me was now offering a sincere apology. Whether it was curiosity or a touch of nostalgia, I nodded. "All right." Kevin let out a relieved sigh. "Thank you." The cafe, tucked away in a corner of the shopping street, offered a peaceful break from the noise outside. The soft, melodic background music gradually eased the tension in my chest. Kevin sat across from me, stirring his coffee, and slowly began speaking. "The reason Anna left so suddenly was because her father was seriously ill. She asked me to explain to you, and you probably know the rest. As for the harsh words I said to you, they were both her brother's request and my own selfishness. I'm sorry." He turned his head to look at a woman chatting with someone by the window. A trace of nostalgia and relief appeared on his face. He said, "Anna has always been outstanding in both character and appearance. Compared to others, she could be considered perfect. It's completely natural to fall for her, but even though she wasn't opposed to me, there was always this distance between us. I thought that as long as I kept treating her well, she'd eventually be moved. So I foolishly cleared away all the obstacles." At this point, he gave a self-deprecating smile and continued, "She did realize how I felt and made it clear that we were just friends. I begged her and even lost my temper, but all I got in return was her distance. I had no choice but to return to the role of a friend, pretending nothing had ever happened. When the relationship finally started to ease, she transferred schools and fell for you, some small-town, exam-focused guy who is nothing like me." I furrowed my brow and looked at him, but he smiled at me openly, without shame, and said, "Sorry, but that's how I really felt at the time. Maybe all unrequited love eventually turns into resentment. So I let jealousy drive me to provoke you. It felt like if I saw you suffer, I could finally get revenge and feel good. But you remained so calm, making me look like a clown." I took a sip of my coffee. "People with different perspectives can't empathize with each other, so we couldn't see through each other's FOD. But here we were, sitting peacefully together like old friends, sharing past grievances, which, in a way, was a sign of growth, wasn't it?" He said, "After going abroad, Anna found out that you had blocked all her contact information, and I told her the truth. That was the biggest argument we had. I couldn't understand why she'd fall for a guy like you, jerk. She said if it were you, you would never speak ill of someone else. That's the difference between us. We parted on bad terms, and from then on, we were strangers." Kevin said he was initially angry and embarrassed. He had a good family background, a comfortable life, and certainly wasn't as shallow as I was. How could Anna say he was worse than me? To escape reality, Kevin traveled all over the world and met people from all walks of life. He met refugees who fought to the death over a piece of bread, children sold by their parents, and countless other struggling souls fighting to survive. He said, "Gradually, I started thinking about you, started to understand you, and even began to admire you. George, you've carried your burdens through all these difficulties. You fought through life's struggles to get where you are today. I apologize for my past prejudices. I'm sorry. I finally understand why Anna likes you." The coffee was almost gone, and the misunderstanding was finally cleared up. His expression was calm, and his smile became more relaxed, as if the knot in his heart had finally unraveled. He handed me a business card. He said, "This is my contact information. The damage I caused can't be undone, but I'll do my best to make amends. If you ever need help, feel free to reach out." I took it with composure. I replied, "All right, I'll gladly accept. In the adult world, there's no such thing as forgiving and forgetting with a smile. Only real practical exchanges of interests. When connections are offered, they should be utilized." Finally, I asked him, slightly puzzled, "Do you have a girlfriend now?" He was taken aback for a moment, realized what I was asking, then shook his head and smiled. "When we were kids, I had plenty of playmates. How could I have just one childhood sweetheart?" After Kevin left, Anna pushed the door open and entered. She cautiously glanced at my expression, hesitant to speak. I spoke lie. He already told me everything. Anna's eyes brightened slightly and she pressed her lips together. I didn't leave without saying anything on purpose. That day, my brother smashed my phone and I could only ask Kevin to explain things to you. But who would have known? Her voice trailed off, growing quieter, filled with regret and a hint of helplessness. I couldn't help but find it a little funny. After she left, I blocked all her contact information. Anna wasn't without trying to reach me from other numbers. It was the age when pride meant everything. The woman I loved ran off with a rich and handsome guy, and I couldn't swallow that humiliation. So I made up a lie telling her not to contact me again, claiming that I had a girlfriend and that she should respect herself, or I'd make sure she'd never see me again. She knew that when I said something, I followed through, and she had no choice but to back off. Once the anger subsided, reason returned. I began to consider whether she might have had her reasons. So I put some effort into finding Kevin's social media account. What I saw were photos of him traveling the world. He looked vibrant and free, and occasionally there were items that hinted at the presence of women in his life. The top comment, "Childhood sweetheart's love is always so sweet." I didn't have the courage to look further, realizing how foolish and sad I was for making excuses for Anna. After that day, I completely erased her from my life. Avoidance may be shameful, but it worked. I shook my head with a smile and said, "It's a bit nostalgic. A misunderstanding that lasted for so many years." I continued, "It's not your fault. It's my fault for not giving you a chance to explain." Then I shifted the conversation. "But I'm not wrong either, because my pride matters more than anything. I guess it's fate. No, destiny for us after all." Anna pressed her lips tightly together, looking at me with a mix of panic and confusion. She said, "George, I interrupted her. I said, "Anna, we've been apart for 5 years, not 5 days. The changes between us are so drastic, calling it earth-shattering wouldn't even be an exaggeration. Our experiences and mindset are completely different now. It's not just about clearing up the misunderstanding and going back to how things were. I've truly let go of you, and I really have liked other women. You don't really think I'm dating someone to try to get you back, do you?" She lowered her eyes, her long lashes casting a shadow beneath them. I comforted her. "Maybe it's just an obsession you have with me. You need to break free from the cycle you're in to meet someone better." Anna silently smiled through her tears. Her eyes were red and her voice trembled as she said, "George, how do you know I'm not willing to stay trapped in this cycle?" I froze for a moment. The next second, she threw herself into my arms, her shoulders trembling slightly. She said, "For the past 5 years, I've been watching you. I've seen you silence your opponents in debates, seen you confidently soar on stage, and seen you exhausted in the library, about to fall asleep. My feelings for you haven't lessened. On the contrary, they've only grown stronger," she said. "But now you're telling me to let go. How could I possibly let go?" Her sweet breath brushed against my nose, her hoarse voice slightly choked. She choked out, "George, at least don't sentence me to death like this. Don't I deserve a chance? This isn't fair to me." I remained silent for a long time, but eventually, I relented. After graduation, I successfully received offers from several top psychology consulting firms, both domestic and international. Chris organized a celebration for me at the bar. Foreigners are always enthusiastic and outgoing, but I couldn't get into those over-the-top games, so I found an excuse to step outside for some fresh air. "George, are you okay?" My head was a little dizzy, and Tina quickly helped steady me. In the dim light, her eyes were as clear as water, gazing at me without blinking. I slowly cleared my head, pulled my hand away, and said, "I'm fine. Go back in and have fun with them." I knew Tina had feelings for me, but I wasn't in the right state of mind for that. "Georgie, brother." My eyelid twitched, and I was about to correct her when suddenly a bright light flashed, and I looked up to see Anna getting out of the car. She naturally linked her arm with mine, her gaze cold, her dark eyes narrowing as she looked at the people around us, a subtle warning in her eyes. With a cold snort, she said, "I won't disturb your gathering tonight. I'm heading home with my boyfriend." Tina stared at me. Her eyes were filled with reluctance. I was eager to get Tina to drop the unrealistic idea, so I nodded toward her and said, "Yeah, I'll go back with my girlfriend. Please tell your brother for me." A look of disappointment flickered in her eyes, but she simply nodded and went inside. As I turned around, I caught the smile on the woman's lips next to me, like she was genuinely in a good mood. I couldn't help but ask, "It's not real, so what are you happy about?" Ever since I agreed to her plan, she'd been cutting off all my chances with other women. My earlier confusion suddenly made sense. It wasn't that I couldn't do it. It was that someone had been secretly sabotaging me. She parted her red lips and softly whispered her words lost to the night, carried only by the wind. It will come true eventually. When I got home, Anna had already rolled up her sleeves and was in the kitchen, expertly bringing out a pot of hot hangover soup. Curious, I asked, "How did you get in?" She ladled the soup slowly and gave me a soft laugh. "Chris gave me the code, ever since I gave in 3 years ago. Anna had taken full ownership of the kitchen, cooking meals and making soups for us, coming and going as naturally as if it were her own house. I used to worry Chris might have an issue with it, but he'd just smile and wave it off. If you don't let her come, my stomach will protest. And now he even gave her the house code." I sighed and rubbed my forehead. Anna placed the warm soup in front of me and said gently, "Drink this and go to bed, or you'll have a headache tomorrow." Her voice was soft, sweet, and full of tenderness. I looked up at her, her clear eyes framed by the gentle steam from the soup. That warmth hit me hard. The thought of a sense of home made my heart tremble. My breath caught in my chest. Even though I had the hangover soup, my head still felt foggy. I stared at Anna for a long time. She parted her lips and asked, "What's the matter? Why are you staring at me like that?" In the next second, I leaned in and kissed her lips. The warmth, the slight sweetness. Anna's pupils trembled, frozen in place. I pulled back slightly, a rare mischievous smile on my face. "Now we're even," I said. The very next moment, she wrapped her arms around my neck and straddled my lap, her soft, warm kisses coming in a rush. The familiar scent lingered at the tip of my nose, her tongue eagerly tangled with mine. Such blatant seduction. Who could resist? And just when I was about to lose myself, she whispered encouraging words. I kissed her again, not stopping, until I heard her broken words barely forming a sentence. A month later, I stood there speechless, holding Anna's pregnancy test results in my hands. I looked at Anna, blushing beside me, and muttered, "Are you out of your mind? What kind of body does she have to get pregnant on the first try?" Her lips curled into a victorious smile, sparkles dancing in her eyes. "Husband, whether I'm sick or not, this report already proves everything," she said. I was completely speechless. Meanwhile, the news about Alicia's engagement was stirring things up back in China. I looked at Anna, my tone sharp. "So, what about your niece?" She was sipping carrot juice, answering casually, "I'm not sure, but Alicia isn't that kind of person." It wasn't until I came to the UK that I found out Anna was actually Alicia's aunt, but the age difference between them? Just a year. The Zhu family's mother had been an older mom and passed away soon after giving birth to Anna. The father, devastated by the loss, fell ill and went abroad for recovery. The Zhu family's eldest son took over the family business, neglecting his younger sister, maybe even blaming her for their mother's death. Anna, always well behaved, considerate, gentle to everyone, never caused any trouble, yet never felt accepted by her family. She transferred to that small town, probably the most rebellious thing she ever did. It was her mother's hometown. That's where we met. Later, when her father's health took a turn for the worse, she left in the middle of the night. Thankfully, he survived. Perhaps being so close to death finally opened his eyes. He realized he had ignored this child for 16 years and wanted to mend things. With the excuse of illness, he kept Anna in the UK. Before he passed away, he held Anna's hand stubbornly and asked, "Do you resent me?" Anna said she didn't. Her voice was gentle but distant. "I don't know what the Zhu father really thought, but I feel sorry for Anna Zhu. When she needed her family the most, they treated her like she didn't exist. They dumped all their pain and resentment on a young girl, never stopping to think how much she had suffered or blamed herself. And now, when she no longer needed them, they returned playing the roles of a loving family, full of self-deceit. It's ridiculous. What did Anna ever do wrong? She suffered for years. She didn't choose this family." Thinking about all of this, I let out a long, heavy sigh. Anna noticed and immediately threw herself into my arms. "Husband, what's wrong?" she asked. I stroked her head, my voice low and somber. "Anna, my heart aches for you." She froze, just for a moment, then gently chuckled and snuggled closer to me. Her soft laughter resonated in my chest, warming my heart. She said, "If I knew you cared this much about me, I would have complained even more." I chuckled softly too. Then Anna slipped a diamond ring onto her ring finger, her eyes going wide in shock. I said, "Your family didn't treat you well. And if I don't treat you well, I can't imagine how much that would hurt you." I looked at her, sincere. "This time, let me be the one to be your family, okay?" The wedding should be the grandest, and the wedding dress the most beautiful. Her eyes turned red. She buried her face into my chest and choked out a quiet, "Okay." After witnessing the fiasco of David and Alicia's engagement, Anna and I both agreed the misunderstanding needed to be cleared up, and fast. With our friends and family all in China, we decided to hold the wedding there. Back in China, I met Anna's older brother for the first time. His face still looked tense, but there was nothing he could say. First of all, he had no control over us. Second, he couldn't even control his own daughter, who insisted on marrying no one but my brother. And most importantly, I had already achieved the ambitions I once dreamed of. I no longer needed to depend on anyone. That whole "we're from different worlds" nonsense, it could go to hell. I spent an entire month preparing, giving Anna the grandest wedding I possibly could. But the guests? All people Anna had invited, and maybe, just maybe, she did it on purpose. Because Anna invited every single woman from my past, even Willow, and to top it off, she arranged for them all to sit at the same table. This woman she just kept pushing. I muttered, "Anna, you really want to stir up trouble, don't you?" She looked down, her expression soft, like she carried both innocence and grievance. She said, "I've been so jealous of you. For all those years in college, it wasn't easy for us to get back together. Can't I show off a little?" Since we got back together, she'd definitely become more demanding, but when I looked into her eyes warm like autumn sunlight, my heart just softened. "Fine, do as you wish," I said. During the toasts, Willow sat silently, lips sealed, a heavy, defeated aura surrounding her. Thanks to someone's relentless provocation, when I first returned to China, Willow begged me for forgiveness again and again. After learning I was getting married, she even came to my house crying in the middle of the night, but it was Anna who opened the door. And the coldness she radiated, it was piercing. For the first time, I saw her speak without her gentle mask. She raised an eyebrow and sneered, "I'm already showing, but you're still not letting go. Just get lost." Even after being humiliated like that, Willow still showed up at my wedding. Willow looked up at me, a painful smile tugging at her lips. She said softly, "George, I wish you happiness. And I'm sorry I didn't respond, just like I hadn't responded to Kevin's apology. Some wounds, they just can't be healed with a simple sorry. In this life, not every ending needs to be perfect. Victims have the right to refuse forgiveness." That night, Anna was unusually drunk. There was a vulnerability in the corners of her eyes one I'd never seen before. She clung tightly to my arm, like she was afraid I might slip away. I let out a helpless sigh and gently comforted her. She looked up at me, eyes filled with a soft grievance. "If only we had never separated," she whispered. "I'd thought about that too. If that misunderstanding had never happened, would we be happier now? But the truth is, maybe not. If Kevin had the nerve to say those things out loud, how could her father and brother ever have accepted her marrying me? So no matter what regrets would have existed, it's better to cherish what we have now. We've both grown, we're better, more mature adults. Even after meeting all kinds of people and seeing a broader world, we still found our way back to each other. We fell in love again. That's what makes it so precious." I kissed her eyes, feeling her lashes tremble lightly against my lips. And I said, "Anna, everything is just right." Chapter extra in front of others, Anna always acted like a gentle, refined lady. But only George knew how jealous and scheming she could truly be. After we got married, she slowly began to show her possessive side. Whenever I looked at another woman, even unintentionally, she'd throw a tiny tantrum, pouting, sulking, and acting all moody and sarcastic. She was like Ophelia from Hamlet, full of intense, dramatic emotion, and the more often it happened, the more tired I became of coaxing her. So eventually, I decided it was time to have a serious conversation, but every time I brought it up, she would instantly become melancholic, like she was on the verge of death, her face desolate, like a little animal that had just been abandoned. She knew exactly how to get to me because I could never bring myself to really scold her. So instead, I found other ways to punish her. The next morning, she woke up beaming with happiness, humming to herself while making breakfast. The smile on her lips couldn't be hidden. Only the faint red marks on her collarbone told the story of how she'd been punished. And that wasn't all. She had also gone and added all of my exes: Maria, Sophia, Lisa, Laura. She read their names like a checklist of people she planned to target. Then, every few days, she would post pictures of our baby, showing off our love to the world. So cute, looks just like my husband. My husband worked all morning just to make me breakfast. He loves me so much. Ugh, he's so clingy. What should I do? Oh, I forgot. Some people don't have a husband. The constant updates were like emotional grenades. Some of her targets couldn't take it anymore. They'd snap, send me screenshots. Can you control your wife? I replied with a single punctuation mark. Then I took a deep breath, already planning how someone was going to be punished tonight.